Hello and welcome back to my Dandelion Diaries. So I wanted to make a video about my 𝗏𝗏ichi 𝗦𝘃𝗁 5-year diary in the A5 size because it slipped my mind for some reason and I didn't do a setup video of this one. So I wanted to kind of walk through how I'm using it this year and then also kind of my intentions for this book this year a little bit more in depth. So starting off, this is the undyed leather cover from Hobonichi. I don't know what happened to my cover. It got really messed up somehow. It hasn't done anything except for sit on my desk. I did sunbathe it on my desk. I sit next to a really sunny window right here, and the front of it is the only place where the little black marks came up. In terms of coloring, it has tanned a little bit, not a whole lot. I do want to patina the cover pretty heavily because that's a look that I really enjoy. If these marks end up not buffing out, I may just leave them there as they are. I may decide to, I don't know, paint on the cover, do some ink exploration on the cover. I don't know, but the little black marks don't really bother me too much right now, but if they do in the future, I'll probably manipulate this cover somehow to make it look a little different. For the setup of this, I didn't really do anything. I added one sticker from the Coffee Monsters Co. because I felt it was kind of funny that it says chapter 1 and this is my first 5-year diary. But the year at a glance sections, I haven't done anything with. And then for the daily sections, this is really where the meat of this book is. So the way that I'm using this specific book for 2024 is like an entry and also an entry. So when I was looking for a 5-year diary, I wanted something that was, had enough space. So I wanted the A5 size for sure. I was tempted to go with another brand, Sterling Ink's 5-year diary, but it was undated. So I would have to date everything myself by year. And the way I saw that was like, okay, that's 5 years of dating something, whether I use a stamp, stickers, or just handwrite it. It's work, right? Like, and I know I'm doing a daily entry anyways, but like, it's just like that added step. So with the 𝗏𝗏ichi, it's already pre-dated, which is something I was really looking for. And also it has a blank space on the other side. So there's a lot more pages in this 5-year diary than some of the other brands like Midori or Sterling Ink, for example. With this extra page, this is kind of like the space where I was like, what am I gonna do? Because I want the extra space, but I don't necessarily have a plan for the extra space. So here's what I've done so far as in terms of January of 2024. So I have an entry over here where I'm writing down what pen I'm using and the ink I'm using because I love fountain pen ink and fountain pens. I'm writing down the weather that day, what day of the week it is, because that's going to be different every single year. I have a little entry of like what the history was that day, world history, not just like history where I'm at in Texas in the US, but like everything going on like the war in Hamas or anything else. I'm not sure how much I can say on YouTube because they do have regulations on what you can talk about, but I'm basically writing down a list of history items that I find relevant to me or relevant to the world. And then on the flip side, I'm answering a journal prompt. So I will have a link to the list of journal prompts that I have pulled from. Somebody on Reddit created this. I am not the creator. I think it's fantastic that they created this. It is 1,000 journal prompts. Literally any question you could ever ask is probably on the list. I've been using a random number generator and just picking one for every day of the month so far. So with that being said, my ink changes every day because I use a different pen, and then my prompt changes every day. There are some days where I have more history or less history to write, and I've been finding this really interesting in terms of looking back on like, okay, I'm doing this on this day and this is what happened historically, and then here's my answer to my question that I was prompted. And also the way I see this is I can answer this same question over and over and over again. So like, for instance, this one, what is the greatest vacation you have taken? So my answer for this year is not that great because I haven't taken a really good vacation that I can even remember. Honestly, I don't go on vacation to other places very often. And so I really couldn't pick something that would be worth writing about. But next year in 2025, I can write something different. and 2026 and 2027 and 2028. And I can just answer that same question over and over again and see how my answer changes. And I think that's something that's going to be really fun to look back on, and something that I'm honestly really looking forward to answering over and over again. Like this one, what is a joke you played on somebody? Like, this is something that you can answer every year too. If you come up with a new prank that you've given your friends or your family, I think it's something really fun to reflect on. That being said, I don't really plan on doing a whole lot of stickering in this book. I don't really want to add a whole lot to it. I want it to be mainly pen and paper because this book is already giant as it is. I mean, it's 700 and something pages. So I don't need to be adding in 1,020,000 things to bulk it up. I do think there are some people that have bulked this up tremendously and it looks really cute that it's like a little fat planner, but I'm not one of those people. Also, I want to talk about the back pages in this book for a minute too, because the daily pages, or daily pages for all 5 years is the bulk of this planner, but Hobonichi always includes some extra pages in the back, and I find this where things can be a little bit intimidating. So first off, you have a year per page at the back of the book. So you have 2024, 25, 26, 27, and then 28, which are the 5 years in this specific 5 year. So this is basically a blank page. You could do whatever you want. The way I plan on using these pages is I'm actually going to add stickers to them. So at the end of the year, I will print off either photographs or add a sticker for a memory and just make the top part kind of like a collage of the year in terms of stickers, photos, ephemera, whatever. And then at the bottom, I'm planning on doing like my total stats in a way. So if you've been following my channel, I have a lot of different planners that I track things in. My health planner is probably the most specific in terms of me personally, but I also have a garden planner and reading and things like that. So I want to track those stats down here, like how many pages I read in the whole year, how many walks I went on, how many times I ate out to a restaurant, like anything like that. I want to include it because I think it's something really fun to look back on year after year. And this is having all of that in one space. So if I only end up having space to keep one book, I can keep this one giant book versus a bunch of little books. I hope that makes sense. The other sections in the back of this book are like gifts and lists and like other things that I honestly don't think I'm going to do anything with. I think for the gift section, if you wanted some ideas, you could easily do like all of the gifts you received in 5 years. I think this is plenty of space, unless you're just getting lots of gifts from lots of different occasions or lots of different people. Like if you have a really large family or something. But I feel like this is a good section that if you wanted to track the different gifts you were getting, or you could track the different gifts you were giving. I would say you could probably divide this into 5 years or just make it an ongoing list. And if you need more room, add pages in. But I think that's a good way to use this space. I personally am probably not going to use it at all. It'll probably just stay blank. And then for the addresses thing in the back, I mean, I guess if you moved like 16 times, you could track your address over 5 years. I think that would be interesting to see, like, okay, I lived here this year and then I moved 2 years down the line and I lived here and then I had to move again that year or whatever. Or you could travel, like mark your travel in here, like where you stayed during your travels over 5 years. I think that would be a really interesting way to use it. Again, I'm probably not going to be using these pages just because I don't really have any other ideas than that. I guess if I wanted to pick one and I end up traveling a lot in 5 years, then I'll track all my travels. But that's the ideas I got for this. And then at the back, it's just your, personal notes pages and lists. So for the lists, I think it's interesting. They give you 4 sections and there's 5 years. So unless you just have 4 separate lists that you're tracking over 5 years, I guess, but I would have preferred to have like 5 lists so I could have like 1 list per year or something. But again, I don't even know what I would want to use this for. I think I would honestly just kind of break this down into, okay, I'm doing all of my favorite memories that month or that year or something, like if I had 1 per year. But like I said, I don't even know what I would write down in this section, so I'm going to give myself some grace and I'm just going to leave it blank. And then maybe over the 5 years, I'll come up with something that I want to use it for and I'll use it. But for now, first year in this book, it's staying blank. And then personal notes. I'll probably end up putting my information in here at some point, but this book never leaves my house, so I don't really see the need to fill out anything since it's not going to be traveling anywhere or seeing the light of day besides my bookshelf and my desk. But overall, I'm really looking forward to seeing how my thoughts and memories and history honestly changes through 5 years of using this book. It is definitely a commitment to do this, and I would say it's going to be a journey from start to finish for sure. But I'm really excited to continue this. I've already finished out almost a whole month in this book at the time of me filming this, and I'm really enjoying it. So in this part of the video, I kind of wanted to talk about some ideas that you could use your 5-year for if you didn't already have ideas for it. Besides just doing like an entry a day kind of thing and then having like a space for memories over here or a journal entry or whatever. Some other ideas that I've seen and thought of are actually, doing a dream journal. So having like, this by your bedside, and every time you wake up, if you have a dream, you write down what the dream is here and maybe like the interpretation on this side. I've seen that as a really good idea. I've also thought of what if you use this as like a business log. So you could easily do this as like, okay, in 2024, this day we did this for our business. And then 2025, this is where the business is at now. In 2026, this is where that business is at now. Like, or you had to dissolve the business or whatever. I've also thought of using this as kind of a way to track your family's stuff. So maybe have like a different color coding system per person. So you have like pink for your daughter, blue for your son, green for your husband, yellow for you, whatever. And then you have each one of those colors of what those people did on that day. And it's kind of like a whole book of 5 years of your family. I've also seen people use these as memory keepers for their young children. So like babies or toddlers, when they grow up, they give them to them and they can see how their life was in the first 5 years of their life. I think that is a beautiful idea. Some other ideas I have seen is using this almost as an art space. So the paper of the Tomoe River is very well behaved with lots of different mediums and art. And I've seen people do like literally art all the way across in strips for a whole 5 years, and a completed one looks absolutely stunning. I think that's dedication if you can do something like that. I don't know if I could do that much art for 5 years straight every single day, but it looks really fantastic by the time you're done, for sure. If you have any other ideas that I haven't mentioned or that you are currently using your 5-year for, please leave them down in the comments, because I think this is a really cool way to document your life, is with a book that can hold 5 years of it. It is so fantastic. But I would love to hear any other ideas or what you use your books for. I think this is, again, such a fun concept. But I'm going to leave the video out here. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, for joining me here today. I know this is kind of a short video, but it's not a whole lot I'm putting into this other than just writing down history and journal prompts. Like I said, I will have the link to those journal prompts in the description. Again, they are not my creation. They are from a creator on Reddit, and I'm very grateful for them because they are all incredibly interesting questions to answer. But again, I want to thank you so much for watching, for joining, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.